Mugger be grabbed.
Here at about 7 a.m., a group from the Coast Guard.
Welcome to #PHVote 2013. Today on Rappler.
I know it was a very big sacrifice on my part.
Yes.
Because these are close friends of mine.
Yes. So,
It really pains me that I had to do this.
Ma'am, you... Pork barrel scam conduit Ruby Tuason turned state witness. The camp of First Gentleman Mike Arroyo denies involvement in the Malampaya fund scam. And Senator Drilon criticizes the United Nations for not funding shelters for Yolanda victims. Hello, I'm Maria Ressa. Welcome to Rappler, your social news network. She's accused in the pork barrel scam. Now she's back in the country and is turning state witness. Ruby Tuason, the former secretary of ex-President Joseph Estrada and an associate of alleged scam mastermind Janet Lim Napoles, appears at the office of the Ombudsman Friday to reaffirm the statement she gave at the Philippine consulate in California. Whistleblowers say Tuason was the conduit for lawmakers who allegedly funneled their discretionary funds to fake Napoles NGOs in exchange for kickbacks. Tuason's lawyer, Dennis Manalo, says Tuason will corroborate the testimony of whistleblowers who tagged Senators Jinggoy Estrada, Bong Revilla, Juan Ponce Enrile, and Enrile's former chief of staff, Gigi Reyes, in the scam. Manalo also says Tuason will return the money she collected to the government. Justice Secretary Laila de Lima says Tuason's testimony is, quote, slam dunk evidence against Estrada and Enrile because it proves the lawmakers were directly and personally receiving money from the scam. Quoting the affidavit, de Lima says Tuason would pick up the pork barrel scam shares of Estrada and Enrile. Tuason would then receive 1.5% of every successful project as referral fee. Justice Secretary Laila de Lima says Tuason is now a provisional state witness with conditional immunity.
Si Mrs. Ruby Tuason po ay nag-apply at tinanggap na po ng Witness Protection Program ng Department of Justice provisionally. So, nag-issue po ako ng provisional admission para sa kanya.
De Lima says this status means Tuason is not yet granted full coverage under the Witness Protection Program, pending further evaluation of her testimony. Tuason says she decided to testify, quote, to clear her conscience.
I know it was a very big sacrifice on my part.
Yes.
Because these are close friends of mine.
Yes.
So it really pains me that I had to do this.
Ma'am, President Benigno Aquino welcomes Tuason's decision to testify, saying he hopes her affidavit will help the government's case against those involved in the scam.
Eh, nung sinabi magte-testify siya, meron isa na pwede mag-kompleto ng proseso, magtatayo, mag-reaffirm ng mga allegations sa mga whistleblowers. So, mas papatibay yung ebidensya.
In a press conference, de Lima says she will allow Tuason to testify before the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee after Senator Miriam Santiago asked to interpellate her over this pork barrel scam. Justices say only the anti-graft court can declare self-confessed pork barrels conduit Ruby Tuason a state witness upon the recommendation of the Ombudsman. Justice Secretary Laila de Lima earlier declared Tuason a provisional state witness, but a Sandigan Bayan magistrate says it's not for the Justice Department to determine whether she qualifies as a state witness. The justice adds the court will determine if she is least guilty, that her testimony is materially substantive. What if the court says otherwise? The magistrate also says the Justice Department has full powers on who could be admitted to the Witness Protection Program, but the court determines who qualifies as a state witness. Retired Supreme Court Justice and constitutionalist Jose Mendoza also says Tuason has to be indicted first as an active participant in the scam before she can qualify as state witness. For our social media post of the day, Ruby Tuason's return to the Philippines causes a frenzy offline and online, but many are skeptical about the Philippine justice system. Rick Rosales says, I applaud Ms. Tuason for her brazen efforts, but knowing our justice system, will something happen? Florelio Abella says if she returns the stolen money, only then could she become a state witness, no more, no less. If ever the Sandigan Bayan can't declare Tuason a state witness later, it will presume the involved senators not guilty, and this is how we simply define it. Justice delayed is justice denied. Roger Chua is more hopeful, saying, "This is exciting. Kudos to this administration for being open to such investigations." The camp of former First Gentleman Mike Arroyo denies involvement in the Malampaya fund scam after Ruby Tuason names Arroyo's lawyer Jess Santos as a collector of commissions from the Malampaya fund. Tuason's estranged second husband was Arroyo's first cousin. In her affidavit, Tuason says she witnessed her late sibling dealing with another person who delivered money from the Malampaya fund. Portions of the fund, which is intended for energy development projects, were siphoned to fake NGOs associated with Napoles. In an interview with the ABS-CBN News channel, Santos denies knowing Tuason or taking part in the scam. He adds, "I am ready to face any probe. I am even ready to face my God to say I have nothing to do with this." In a statement, Arroyo spokesman Ferdinand Topacio criticizes Justice Secretary Laila de Lima for her, quote, "extreme irresponsibility and lack of ethics, logic, and common human decency for insinuating Arroyo's involvement in the Malampaya scam." Tension brews at the Senate over the United Nations' lack of assistance in building permanent shelters for survivors of Super Typhoon Yolanda or Haiyan. Last month, the government was criticized for building bunkhouses that fall below international standards. Senator Bongbong Marcos says the UN will not fund shelters unless the Philippines adheres to these standards. But Senator Franklin Drilon criticizes the UN, saying that 3 months after the typhoon, there has not been a single unit funded by the International Agency for Temporary Shelters. He adds, "So much has been said about these international standards. These international agencies are fond of coming here over the weekend and suddenly becoming experts of local conditions." In December 2013, UN head Ban Ki-moon says the UN wants to mobilize at least $800 million or 33.6 billion pesos for Yolanda survivors. But a UN spokesman says the $800 million aid appeal is only about 42% funded, with the component for shelters only a fifth funded. 14 people, including 2 foreigners, are killed and at least 32 others injured after a bus falls down a ravine in Bontoc Mountain Province Friday. Around 7:20 a.m., a Florida bus carrying 47 passengers falls into the ravine in Sitio Abab in Barangay Bayo. Police say the accident may have been caused by loose brakes or human error because there was no traffic and the weather was clear when the accident happened. Comedian Tado, whose real name is Arvin Jimenez, is among those who died in the accident. Non-governmental organization Dakila, which Tado co-founded, says the comedian was going to Bontoc for the 40 Mountains project. Tado rose to fame because of his offbeat TV program Strange Brew and radio show The Brew Rats. He was also a regular fixture in noontime shows and soap operas. Tado is survived by his wife and 4 children. Let's now look at Rappler's Wrap for today, a list of the 10 most important events around the world you shouldn't miss. At number 3, a new study says the number of Filipino youth using technology for sexual activities is increasing. The 2013 Young Adult Fertility and Sexuality Study shows 1 in every 4 Filipino youth sent or received sex videos through the cell phone or the internet. 1 in every 100 recorded his or her own sex video. 4 in every 100 had sex with someone they met online or through text messaging, and 6 in every 100 engaged in phone sex. But access to more information through new technology did not mean safer sex choices. The study shows 78% of those having premarital sex did not use any form of contraception. At number 6, negotiators from the Pakistan government and the Taliban meet Thursday to chart a roadmap for future peace talks. The Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, an umbrella group of militant factions, started a series of attacks in 2007, killing thousands of people. Stability in nuclear-armed Pakistan is important to its neighbor Afghanistan, where U.S.-led NATO troops are pulling out after more than a decade of war. And at number 8, Microsoft's Kinect is no longer just a motion-detecting toy. It's now a security device straddling the landmine-laden border of North and South Korea. The South Korean military is using it because of its ability to differentiate between human and animal movements. For the full top 10, visit Rappler.com's The Wrap. The Philippine Football Federation announces former United States captain Thomas Dooley will be the new head coach of the national team. Dooley was formally introduced by Azkals team manager Dan Palami and PFF president Mariano Araneta on Friday as the man who will replace departing coach Hans Michael Weiss. Dooley says he's excited about his new role.
He knows that the biggest and the shortest goal that we have is winning the Challenge Cup, because this is the biggest step for the country.
Dooley says he's only seen the Azkals play twice on video and would immediately get to know the players individually. Dooley will need to acquaint with his team quickly. Their first outing is set for March 5 against Azerbaijan in Dubai, United Arab Emirates. Every story on Rappler has a mood meter, which gives you 8 emotions to choose from. Click how you feel and your vote comes down to the mood navigator in the middle of the front page. That crowdsources the mood of the day. It also gives you the top 10 stories that have affected our readers and viewers the most emotionally. If you take a look, these 10 stories have gotten the most number of votes in their mood meter. We see today Ruby Tuason to back pork whistleblowers, whopping 3% angry and 95% happy. The provisional state witness, we see her coming back here. Comedian Tado, among the dead in Mountain Province bus accident, 94% sad. And interestingly enough, again, the story that's gotten the most number of votes actually happened yesterday. It's very close. UP class opening shifts to August in 2014. 37% happy, but a large 49% angry. This read bringing out the mood of the day. Today, most people are angry. Well, that's Rappler's newscast for today, Friday, February 7, 2014. Visit Rappler.com and watch our newscast Monday to Friday. Tell us how you feel on our mood meter and help us crowdsource the mood of the day. I'm Maria Ressa. As we say at Rappler, tomorrow begins today.